What if I told you there's something sitting in your kitchen right now? Something you use without a second thought that's slowly working against you. Not in a dramatic overnight way, but quietly, drop by drop, day after day, in ways your body won't announce until it may be too late. Something that's steadily undermining two of the most hardworking organs you have. My name is Dr. Lenora, and I'm a nephrologist, a kidney specialist. Over the years, I've sat across from countless patients who walked into my office confused, scared, and facing consequences that no one should have to face. Consequences that, in a significant number of cases, could have been avoided entirely. That never stops being difficult to witness, and it is precisely why I'm here today. I won't be speaking to you in clinical jargon or technical language that goes over most people's heads. I'm going to talk to you the way I'd talk to someone sitting right across from me in my office, plainly, directly, and honestly. I'm going to name the things, and yes, I'll call them poisons, that are silently damaging kidney health on a massive scale. Things most people consume without hesitation, every single morning. Stay with me through this. By the time we're done, you'll understand what's happening inside your body, why it gets more serious with age, and most importantly, what concrete steps you can take starting right now. Welcome. And thank you for choosing to spend a few minutes investing in your health, because that's truly what this is. One of the most difficult parts of my work isn't the science or the procedures. It's the conversation. The moment when I have to look someone in the eyes and explain that their kidneys are seriously compromised, and that this process has been unfolding silently for years. The kidneys, you see, are what I like to call silent champions. They perform extraordinary work every hour of every day without ever calling attention to themselves. Picture the most sophisticated filtration system ever built, running around the clock without pause, without breaks, without complaint. That's what your kidneys are doing at this very moment. They're processing your entire blood supply, pulling out waste, eliminating toxins, and clearing excess fluid your body no longer needs. But their role goes far beyond filtration. They help keep blood pressure in check. They trigger the production of red blood cells, protecting you from anemia. They play a key role in maintaining bone health. In every meaningful sense, they are a cornerstone of how your whole body functions. So what happens when that system starts to falter? Here is what makes kidney disease so particularly dangerous. There is no obvious alarm, no dramatic, unmistakable signal. Chronic kidney disease creeps forward over years, and by the time the symptoms become clear, ankles that won't stop swelling, an exhaustion that persists no matter how much you rest, cramps that appear without reason, the damage is frequently already substantial. Sometimes it cannot be fully reversed. I've had patients come through my door in their 60s and 70s, vibrant, engaged people, suddenly confronted with the reality of dialysis or a transplant. And without fail, almost every single one of them asks the same question: "How did I not see this coming, doctor?" The honest answer is a painful one. Nobody warned them with enough clarity. The daily habits quietly eroding their kidney function were never properly identified or explained. That is exactly what today is meant to address. Because when you understand the threat, you have the power to do something about it. Before we get into the list, there's something important I want you to understand. Why kidney health becomes more fragile as the years go by. Aging doesn't just change how we look on the outside. It changes the rules on the inside too. Just as vision shifts or hair loses its color, the kidneys age right along with everything else. Their filtering efficiency, what we measure as the glomerular filtration rate, gradually decreases with each passing decade. Think of it like a high-performance engine that's accumulated a lot of mileage. It still runs. It still does its job, but it no longer has the same reserve capacity it did when it was new. Now imagine consistently running that seasoned engine on low-quality fuel while pushing it uphill every single day. You already know how that ends. And that's precisely what many of us unknowingly do to our kidneys, not through one catastrophic event, but through years of small, repeated habits that leave tiny scars, and those scars accumulate. It's that buildup over decades that can ultimately lead to kidney failure. There's another dimension to this. As we age, the risk of developing high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes rises considerably. And I want to be completely direct here. These two conditions are the leading causes of chronic kidney disease across the entire world. They function like two hammers striking constantly at the delicate internal structure of your kidneys. So anything that contributes to or accelerates these conditions is, in effect, a direct assault on your kidney health. Today, we're going to put names to those threats. I've organized them into a list of 4, progressing from significant to the most destructive of all. We'll open with one that will probably catch you off guard. It has nothing to do with eating or drinking, and we'll work our way up to number 1, the most pervasive, most addictive, and most damaging poison hiding in the most ordinary, familiar form. A wolf dressed in the most innocent clothing imaginable. Let's get started. Poison number 4. A sedentary lifestyle, the stagnant water that's suffocating your kidneys. The first poison on this list may genuinely surprise you because it isn't a food, it isn't a substance, and it doesn't come in any kind of packaging. It's something you're not doing. I'm talking about physical inactivity. Long, unbroken hours of sitting, whether on the couch, at a desk, or in front of a screen. I can already anticipate the question, but Dr. Lenora, what does sitting have to do with my kidneys? The answer is more than most people would ever expect. Your kidneys depend on a steady, vigorous flow of blood to carry out their work. Think of a healthy, moving river. The current is strong, the water stays clear, and everything flows as it should. Now picture a stagnant pond. Nothing moves. Sediment settles at the bottom. The water grows cloudy, then toxic. Your circulatory system is that river. When you move, when you walk, your heart pumps with greater strength and blood flows purposefully throughout your entire body, delivering oxygen and energy to the millions of tiny filters inside your kidneys. That circulation is what keeps them functioning at their best. When you remain still for hours on end, however, that river becomes a pond. Blood flow slows, and slow circulation opens the door directly to the kidney's greatest enemies: weight gain, elevated blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. Physical inactivity interferes with how efficiently your body manages blood sugar, setting the stage for insulin resistance. It encourages weight gain, which increases the workload on your heart and drives blood pressure upward. Every additional kilogram your body carries is one more burden your kidneys are asked to manage. The solution doesn't require a gym or an intense fitness routine. It requires consistency. Begin by simply interrupting the long stretches of sitting. Set a reminder once an hour to stand up. Walk to another room, refill a glass of water, roll your shoulders, stretch your neck. That simple act alone is enough to reawaken circulation. From there, work toward a daily walk. 10 minutes is a completely legitimate place to start. Add a few more minutes the following week. Walking is one of the most genuinely beneficial things you can do for your heart, your blood sugar, your bones, and your kidneys. If mobility is a challenge, chair-based movement works remarkably well. Moving your arms, raising and lowering your legs, rotating your ankles, it all counts. Every bit of movement sends fresh, oxygenated blood flowing through your system. Think of each step as a wave of clean water reaching your kidneys. Keep that image in mind. It's accurate. Poison number 3. The deception of harmless pain relievers. Poison number 3 lives quietly in nearly every household medicine cabinet. It's the pill most people reach for without hesitation when a headache hits, when their back flares up, or when arthritis makes a joint ache. I'm referring to nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs. You know these names well: ibuprofen, naproxen, diclofenac. Because these medications are available without a prescription, the widespread assumption is that they're completely safe. That assumption is one of the most common and quietly damaging misconceptions I encounter in my practice. These are genuinely effective medications for managing pain, but used frequently in high doses or over a long period of time, they can cause serious, lasting harm to the kidneys, especially in older adults. Let me walk you through how it works in plain terms. Your kidneys rely on specific compounds called prostaglandins to keep their small blood vessels properly dilated, ensuring that blood flows through them freely and steadily. NSAIDs reduce pain by blocking prostaglandins throughout the body. The problem is they don't discriminate. They also suppress the prostaglandins that protect your kidneys, causing the renal blood vessels to narrow. Blood flow drops. Oxygen delivery drops. Imagine crimping a garden hose. The water barely makes it through, and whatever's on the other end begins to wither. The deeper danger is how gradual and invisible this damage is. Taking these pills regularly for something like ongoing arthritis pain is like crimping and releasing that hose every single day. The kidney filters sustain repeated stress, develop scar tissue, and slowly lose their ability to function. No warning symptoms appear. The process is silent until it's already advanced. So what's the right approach? Not suffering through pain without support. Quality of life genuinely matters. The answer is to be thoughtful and to work with a professional. Avoid self-medicating with NSAIDs on an ongoing basis. If pain lasts beyond a few days, the answer is not more pills. It's finding out what's causing the pain. Be fully open with your doctor about everything you take, including supplements and over-the-counter products. Many cold medications and sleep aids contain hidden NSAIDs. And know that alternatives exist. Acetaminophen, key paracetamol, is generally easier on the kidneys at appropriate doses. Physical therapy, targeted heat or cold, and gentle movement can make a meaningful difference and reduce reliance on medication over time. The guiding principle: NSAIDs used occasionally are a legitimate tool. Relied upon daily without medical oversight, they become a slow but serious threat to your kidneys. Poison number 2. Salt, the invisible aggressor, hidden throughout your food poison. Number 2 is possibly the most underestimated item on this entire list. It's present in kitchens everywhere and consumed in quantities most people never come close to recognizing. I'm talking about salt, or more specifically, sodium. When this topic comes up, I almost always hear some version of the same response. But I barely use the salt shaker, Dr. Lenora. And that is precisely where the misunderstanding lives. The salt shaker is nearly irrelevant to this conversation. Studies consistently show that more than 75% of the sodium we consume comes not from what we add at the table, but from what's already built into processed and packaged foods: bread, deli meats, cheese, canned soups, sauces, frozen dinners, even breakfast cereals. The food industry relies on sodium to extend shelf life and deepen flavor, and it's woven into products that don't even taste particularly salty. It is, in the most literal sense, an invisible threat. Here's what happens when sodium floods your system. Your body needs a small amount of it to function properly, but in excess, it throws the whole balance off. To compensate for the surplus, your body retains fluid, drives up thirst, and signals the kidneys to hold on to water rather than releasing it. The result is a significant increase in blood volume, which pushes the pressure inside your arteries upward. That is hypertension. And hypertension is the second leading cause of kidney failure worldwide. The filtering structures inside your kidneys are made up of incredibly delicate, microscopic blood vessels. Subjecting those structures to sustained, elevated pressure is like trying to clean a silk cloth with a fire hose running at full force. You destroy the fabric entirely. That's what chronic hypertension does to kidneys over time. It tears at the filters, leaves behind scar tissue, and steadily reduces their capacity to function. A vicious cycle that compounds with every passing year. Protecting yourself starts with becoming a label reader. Turn packages over. Find the sodium listing. You'll likely be genuinely surprised by how much is packed into foods you'd never suspect. The general guideline is to stay under 2,000 to 2,300 milligrams per day. If you already have high blood pressure, aim closer to 1,500. Cook at home more often. That's where you hold real control over what goes into your food. Explore the world of herbs and spices. Garlic, cracked pepper, oregano, rosemary, turmeric, cumin, paprika can transform any dish without a trace of sodium. A splash of lemon juice or vinegar works the same way. And if you use canned vegetables, rinse them thoroughly under cold running water before cooking. That single step removes a substantial portion of the added salt. Within a few weeks, your palate will recalibrate. Flavors you'd stop noticing will come back. It's a genuinely freeing shift. The worst poison. Sugar and refined flour, the sweet and deadly partnership. And here we are. We've talked about inactivity, pain relievers, and sodium, all serious, all worth taking seriously. But now I want to introduce the one I consider the most dangerous of all. The most addictive, the most normalized, and the one I've watched cause more kidney devastation than anything else in my years of practice. The undisputed number one. This isn't an obscure industrial compound or a hidden chemical. It's something we associate with warmth, with comfort, with celebration and love. I'm talking about sugar and its inseparable partner, refined flour. Desserts and sodas, yes, but also white bread, white pasta, commercial pastries, and packaged cookies. In my experience, this combination is the primary force driving the pattern I see play out repeatedly in my practice. The slow march from poor diet to diabetes to kidney damage to dialysis. Why do I hold this position so firmly? Because unlike the other threats on this list, sugar and refined flour, which the body converts into glucose almost immediately, don't mount a single targeted attack. They attack from everywhere at once. Front one, the direct pathway to diabetes. Diabetes is the single leading cause of kidney failure globally, and the excessive consumption of sugars and refined carbohydrates is its primary driver. Every time you eat these foods, they trigger a sharp, rapid spike in blood glucose. The pancreas responds urgently, flooding the body with insulin to manage it. When this pattern repeats day after day, the body's cells begin to resist insulin signals. Blood sugar stays elevated. That is how type 2 diabetes takes hold. And once glucose remains chronically high, the kidney damage is profound. Sugar literally stiffens and degrades the delicate filtering units inside the kidneys, a condition known as diabetic nephropathy and the fastest known route to dialysis. Front 2, elevated blood pressure. For a long time, sodium carried the full blame for hypertension. We now know that excess sugar is equally, and in some contexts more, responsible for driving blood pressure up. Cutting salt while maintaining a high-sugar diet means the assault on your kidneys continues uninterrupted. Front 3. Chronic internal inflammation. Sugar acts like accelerant on a fire within the body. It promotes a persistent, low-grade inflammatory state that damages the lining of blood vessels throughout the entire system, including the fragile vessels your kidneys depend on. Front 4. Obesity and metabolic disruption. Sugar your body doesn't immediately burn for energy gets converted and stored as fat. This leads to weight gain, which intensifies the pressure on your kidneys. It also promotes fat accumulation in the liver, contributing to fatty liver disease, a condition that compounds metabolic dysfunction and creates yet another burden the kidneys must absorb. 4 simultaneous fronts. That is why this is number one. And yet, it is absolutely possible to fight back. Start by learning to recognize sugar under its many aliases on ingredient labels. High fructose corn syrup, dextrose, maltose, and sucrose are all the same threat wearing different names. Eliminate the most visible sources first. Sugary beverages, sodas, commercial fruit juices, sweetened teas, and energy drinks are essentially liquid sugar in a can. A single serving can contain the equivalent of 10 or more teaspoons. Replacing these with water, sparkling water with lemon, or unsweetened herbal teas is arguably the single highest impact dietary change you can make. Approach low-fat products with skepticism. Manufacturers routinely compensate for removed fat by adding sugar. Choose plain yogurt over flavored varieties and add your own fresh fruit. Swap refined grains for genuine whole grain alternatives. Real whole grain bread, brown rice, rolled oats. The fiber they contain slows glucose absorption and prevents the sharp spikes that cause damage. And build your diet around whole, real foods. Vegetables, fruits, legumes, eggs, fish, meat, nuts. When your eating is grounded in these, sugar and refined flour naturally recede from your life almost on their own. Breaking free from sugar is the most powerful act of protection you can offer your kidneys. We've covered significant ground today. 4 silent poisons, each one named and exposed. A sedentary lifestyle that slows the river of circulation your kidneys depend on. Pain relievers that, misused over time, quietly compromise renal blood flow. Hidden sodium driving blood pressure into damaging territory day after day. And sugar and refined flour, number 1, launching a total simultaneous assault on your body's most essential systems. If you're feeling a lot to absorb right now, that's understandable. But I want to be clear about something. My intention today was never to frighten you. It was to hand you something far more valuable: clarity. Because once you can name the threat clearly, you can act on it. Kidney disease does not have to be your outcome. Every single one of these poisons responds to the choices you make. You decide whether to stand up from the chair. You decide whether to speak with a doctor. You decide whether to flip the package over and read what's in it. You decide whether to reach for water instead of a soda. Small, consistent decisions compound into something genuinely life-changing. Every home-cooked meal, every walk, every time you choose water over a sweetened drink, these are acts of protection. Bricks in a wall, standing between your kidneys and failure. Your health story is not fixed. You have more influence over it than you may realize. If what we covered today has shifted something for you, I'd ask you to do one thing. Pass it along. Send this to someone you care about. A family member, a friend, a neighbor who could benefit from hearing this. Information that can protect a life should travel as far as possible. And if you'd like to keep receiving clear, grounded health guidance, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what's ahead. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What stood out to you most today? Is there something you learned here that you're planning to change? I read every response, and what you share genuinely shapes what I cover next. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving this time to what matters most. Your kidneys are working for you without pause, every single moment of every day. Honor that with the choices you make going forward. I'm Dr. Lenora, and I wish you a long, healthy, and vibrant life. Take care of your kidneys. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.